Forget everything you thought you knew about the American West. When you picture pioneers, do you see men in dusty hats, gunslinging cowboys? What if I told you the true grit of the frontier was often found in the unyielding spirit of women who didn't just survive, but thrived against all odds, shaping their own destinies in a world built for men? They say the West was wild, but it was these women who truly forged its spirit. We're about to expose the untold stories of forgotten trailblazers, ruthless entrepreneurs, and notorious outlaws who didn't just survive the unforgiving frontier, they conquered it, leaving indelible marks where society said they had no place. Prepare to have your perception of the Old West shattered. For too long, the narrative has been dominated by men. But today, we re-pulling back the curtain on the real legends, the women who defied every expectation, every limitation, and every danger to build their own empires, fortunes, and legacies. Are you ready to meet the true iron wills of the West? Let's start by tearing down the myth of the helpless pioneer woman. Forget the romanticized image of a delicate woman in a clean bonnet, passively waiting for a man to build her a home. The reality was brutal. The journey west was a grueling test of endurance, and once settled, life was a constant battle against the elements, disease, and isolation. Women were expected to do everything: plow fields, build sod houses, birth and raise children without medical care, for food, and defend their homes from threats. This wasn't about meek survival. It was about raw physical strength and mental fortitude. These women weren't just supporting players. They were co-builders of the frontier. Take Mary Ellen Pleasant, for example. Born into servitude in the East, she arrived in gold rush-era San Francisco and, through brilliant investments in laundries, boarding houses, and real estate, became one of the city's first self-made millionaires. But she wasn't just hoarding wealth. She was a fierce abolitionist, using her money and influence to fund the underground, railroad, and fight for civil rights. Her story shows us that, from the very beginning, the West was a place where necessity didn't just birth survival. It ignited innovation and a fierce independence that shattered the confines of traditional womanhood. From that independence, women began to carve out their own economic empires, moving from the hearth to high-stakes ventures. While men were off prospecting for gold or driving cattle, boomtowns sprang up overnight, creating a massive demand for services. And who stepped in to fill that void? Women. They opened and ran the most successful businesses in town: restaurants, laundries, boarding houses, and yes, even saloons. These weren't just side hustles. They were lucrative enterprises that granted women a level of financial independence and social power unheard of back east. They became property owners, employers, and central figures in their communities' economies. Consider the legendary poker Alice Ivers, famous for her cigar, her refusal to play on Sundays, and her incredible skill at the card table. Alice wasn't just a novelty. She was a professional gambler who traveled the West, winning enough money to support her family, pay off debts, and eventually open her own saloon. She wielded her intelligence and nerve to thrive in a male-dominated world, earning respect and a fortune on her own terms. The West, with its chaotic growth and lack of established social structures, inadvertently created a unique landscape where a woman's ambition and business acumen could be her greatest assets, allowing her to gain agency far beyond the traditional roles society prescribed. Of course, economic power was just one way these women defied the status quo. Many broke social and even legal boundaries. The frontier was a place where you could reinvent yourself, and some women took that literally. People like Jean Price lived and worked as men, taking on grueling jobs as miners and teamsters to earn a man-s wage and enjoy a man-s freedom. This wasn't just about clothing. It was a radical act of self-determination. The demand for skilled professionals also opened doors. Women became doctors, lawyers, and journalists, practicing in towns desperate for their expertise, long before such professions were widely accessible to them elsewhere. And then there were the outlaws, women who lived completely outside the lines of proper womanhood. Figures like Calamity Jane and Belle Starr have become legends, not just for their alleged crimes, but for their rebellious spirit. They drank, swore, rode, and shot as well as any man. Whether you see them as criminals or folk heroes, they undeniably rejected every single expectation placed upon them as women. The fluid nature of frontier society, with its informal legal systems and focus on practical ability over pedigree, created loopholes. These loopholes allowed determined women to own property, run businesses, and accumulate power in ways that would have been impossible in the more rigid, legally defined East. They didn't just bend the rules. They often rewrote them entirely. Beyond their economic and rebellious acts, these women were the primary architects of the cultural and social landscape of the West, as towns moved from chaotic camps to established communities. It was women who led the charge to create civilization. They were the ones establishing the first schools, often teaching in them themselves. They founded churches, organized charities, and created the social networks that turned a collection of rough shacks into a genuine community. They brought art, music, and literature to the frontier, fostering a cultural environment that went beyond mere survival. It's crucial here to also recognize the profound and foundational impact of Native American women. Far from the stereotypes often portrayed, they were central pillars of their societies. They were healers, spiritual leaders, diplomats, and the keepers of cultural traditions that had been honed over centuries. Their knowledge of the land, of medicine, and of governance was immense, and their resilience in the face of violent expansion and cultural destruction is a testament to their incredible strength. From the community building of pioneer women to the deep-rooted cultural stewardship of indigenous women. Their contributions are what gave the American West its unique character and enduring spirit. They didn't just live in the West. They civilized it, shaped its soul, and wove the very fabric of its society. So, what is the lasting legacy of these women? Their impact is forged in fire, an indelible mark on the history of a nation. Collectively, their courage, their business savvy, their defiance, and their creativity did more than just ensure their own survival. They laid the groundwork for future generations of women to demand more and to dream bigger. They proved that a woman could be a CEO, a landowner, a leader, and a legend, long before those terms were commonplace. Their stories are not just dusty relics of the past. They are incredibly relevant today. They are blueprints for resilience, showing us how to build a life on our own terms. Even when the world tells us we can't, they challenge us to look at our own modern constraints and ask, what rules are we following that were made to hold us back? The iron will of these women echoes through time, a powerful reminder that history is full of heroines who refuse to be footnotes. Their stories have been overlooked for far too long. I encourage you to dig deeper, to find the names and learn the histories of the incredible women who truly shaped the American West. Celebrate them. Share their stories and let their untamed spirit inspire you. Thank you for watching, and if you want to uncover more hidden histories, make sure to like and subscribe.